we had a strong South Asian contingent come out to Lions Pride when they saw Suk Chung out there, and they said, South Asians, Punjabis play football. I'm like, yeah, go say hi to him. He's a phenomenal player. We can do that too. So having representation when we talk about racism and opportunities for other communities, for the South Asian boys to see Suk Chung, I don't know whether he knows it or not, but he's a role model. There is a massive contingent of kids in Surrey that look up to him and say, if he can do it, then we can do it.
We move the change. You hear what I'm saying? Real players can relate, cause they the ones that was playing. Be great, just wait. We be really in the field. Now we really on the mic, speaking truly how we feel. For real, screaming hut one, hut two. Tell me what you gon'
Move the Chain is a presentation of Doman Building Materials and RBC, the Royal Bank of Canada. Welcome back to our program. Thrilled to be back for a very fun episode we have planned, an important episode about what the BC Lions do out in the community, specifically the schools. Matt Baker, Manager of Communications and Content for your BC Lions, joined by a familiar face to Lions fans for sure, Jamie Terrace, a Grey Cup champion and the longtime Director of Community Partnerships, and Rob Ray, the Surrey School District's Director of School and Community Connections. Gentlemen, it's great to be with you.
Great to be here.
Thanks for having us, Matt.
My pleasure. Jamie, we'll start with you. Just an overall view. We're going to get into some of the specific programs here over the next half hour or so, but just your overall thoughts on everything the BC Lions do when it comes to school visits. I know it's grown over the years, programs have changed, but it's a big pillar of the club's brand, correct? Just a quick overview on how busy we are this time of year out at the schools.
Yeah, well, for me, it's the busiest time of the year, even busier than during the season. And for my team, well, one of our pillars of our club is to help build better communities in British Columbia. We are the BC Lions. We're not the Vancouver Lions. So for us, being able to inspire and to motivate and to educate across the province, to be able to get our players out there to different communities and to talk about important issues is a very big part of what we do in the off season. Right now, we're running 4 different school programs, one called Energy Champions, which touches on sustainability, the environment, which is obviously a big issue for everyone. Another called Be More Than a Bystander, which we've been running for a long time, which is deals with gender-based violence and education and tools to help particularly high school students. It's mostly for high school students if they witness or need help intervening when they witness something related to gender-based violence. We have a new program we started last year called Team Up to End Racism, which is a program that talks about inclusivity and touches on the racism that is unfortunately a part of Canada and British Columbia. And so we have our players out telling their stories and also sharing information to the students to help them join us and team up against racism. So those are 3 of the school programs that we're running right now. And we have also our Lions Pride program, which we've been involved with Rob and the Surrey School District, along with other school districts for a very long time. And it deals with youth at risk, avoiding criminality and gang influence. And it's based in recreational activities, flag football, and also we've run school presentations with that over the years as well. And then last year we started the Indigenous Youth Program for Indigenous youth. Again, a flag football program and a workshop for Indigenous youth, where our players teach them the game and we connect with the Indigenous community. And it's also a program that the Surrey School District and Rob Ray and his team have been involved with. So really great to have Rob on here. He's a wonderful friend of the BC Lions.
Yeah, Rob, just a quick intro from yourself, your involvement with our programs and what made you want to get involved.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you, Jamie, for that kind intro as well. I think whenever you look at kids, whenever we mention the words at risk or vulnerable, we never want to see a negative connotation to that. At risk or vulnerable could just mean that sometimes students don't have what they need to succeed. So it isn't that that they're bad kids or that they're poor kids or that they have criminal inclinations. They might just be kids whose parents are working really hard and have to be away from home just to make ends meet. We know how expensive rent and food and clothing and all those other kind of things are. So when somebody like the BC Lions who comes to our table and says, listen, we really want to help the community. No strings attached. We just want to make sure that kids are getting what they need. That's an offer that we're going to take 10 times out of 10. And it's incredibly easy to work with the BC Lions and with Jamie and his team. They do wonderful work. And ultimately, the bottom line is, why do we do the work? Because if you ever get a chance, Matt, you have got to come out to one of the events and just see the look on the faces of the kids when they get to meet professional athletes, when they get to meet elite football players. The key for me was when Lions Pride comes out and the kids are practicing with the players, and then on Saturday they watch the same players on TSN. It's incredible for them because their world is quite small. When you're young, your world is quite small. It's usually home, friends, school, maybe some relatives. But when you actually get to engage with elite athletes that are then on TV on the weekend, it really inspires you to look at the world in a very different place. Like, wow, those guys can leap out of the building, bring a ball down with one hand, but they'll still come out to my school on Tuesdays and Thursdays and teach me how to catch as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know Jamie. Sorry, I've brought this up probably 100 times, but long time ago, I was in the 5th grade, and Jamie Terrace came to my school. He was a player at the time. And what was most impressive, Jamie, I mean, back then you were just coming by yourself. Now we have a whole team of community employees, the likes of Brittany, Mackenzie, Delaney helping out these days. It's a full-on event. But Rob, you mentioned the Lions Pride gives the kids a chance to play, perhaps do some drills, learn some life lessons. What else the feedback you've gotten, what else do they love about it?
Well, I think outside of the athletics, it's how regular the players are, how grounded they are, and how the messaging that the players share with them is no different than the messaging that teachers or parents give to them as well. So sometimes when you're an adolescent, sometimes you don't always take your parents' advice at face value. Sometimes when a teacher's sharing good information with you, you might kind of brush it off and say, well, you're just a teacher. You're just like my mom. You say the same things. But when athletes come in and they reinforce that same kind of messaging, sometimes as a student, you might start to think, whoa, if somebody that I actually look up to outside of the classroom or outside of my kitchen actually says the same thing as my parents, then maybe they're onto something. And so the messaging stays the same. It's interesting to have the messenger change. Sometimes, especially adolescent males, will take messaging a little bit more seriously from a sports hero than they will from their mom, who's always going to be there and always will nurture them unconditionally. The time that they have with the Lions is short, and it's a gift and it's a privilege. So when somebody comes in and not only offers you, the run, pass, catch skills, but also says, hey, make sure you focus on school, stay in school, because I couldn't have made it to the league if I didn't pay attention in school and get my grades and graduate and go to university and do all these other kind of things. So everything's interconnected. And once they start to realize that the messaging is the same from all the healthy adults in their world, they're a little bit more apt to listen.
Yeah, and if
Jamie,
I can
go ahead.
piggyback on that, I
Yeah.
was just going to say, like, the things that football teaches about discipline, about hard work, about leadership, about teamwork, those things naturally, organically come out as the players practice with the kids over 3 or 4 practices in the tournament. So that's something that the kids really get. They really see it come to life in terms of the application of what the guys are talking about to the game of football. And I think they can then begin to translate that into other areas of their life, which I think is very important. A lesson that comes out of the interaction we have with the youth through the Lions Pride program.
And Rob, the program is designed for high school kids, right? Grades 8 through 12. That's a critical time in a young person's life. I mean, when you look at it from that point of view, they're deciding what they want to do, maybe after school. I can tell you from experience, grade 8, 9, it kind of hits you how much harder life gets, right? I mean, having a positive influence from a player, that's pretty special to have at that stage of your maturity process, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think, Matt, the big difference is I think I made some really poor choices in grade 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I think the difference is nobody's around to film me doing silly things. Sometimes
Right.
you look at a kid who makes a poor choice and then can be defined for 6 months, a year, 2 years off one poor choice that's now on social media. It's like almost on a loop that one child is now known for that one behavior or that one incident or that one poor decision. So when we go back to the mentors, and I'll share this as well, one of the biggest fans of the Lions Pride program, obviously it's going to be the parents, the students, and the school district, but it was actually the Surrey RCMP, who are the largest detachment in Canada, that came by, and there's officers. RCMP is a national force, and when they say, I grew up in Saskatchewan, I grew up in Ontario, I grew up in Alberta, what it would have meant for me to have, somebody from the Argonauts or somebody from the Roughies come in and talk to me. I think my life, it turned out okay. I'm an officer, but my gosh, is it inspiring to have not only elite athletes come in, but also we layer that with really great staff from the school district. And then finally, the RCMP are there. And the RCMP are there to say, hey, listen, I can run and catch about as well as you can, but these guys, I mean, they're next level. And, man, it's not lost on the kids. Like when you see something on TV and everybody is big, it looks like, okay, they're all average sized humans. But when you stand next to an actual CFL player and see their ability to move and cut and jump at 220, 230, 280 pounds or whatever it is, it's inspiring. And that's the key for us, is we want our kids to see beyond the schoolyard, beyond the classroom, and think beyond just up to grade 12. So often when we're kids, you only think about tomorrow and you think 25, ooh, gross, 25, man, that's old. And they don't know what life is going to look like when they're 25. Matt, when you think about it, our graduating class this year was born in 2005, right? So 2005 born kids are now graduating high school, and it's our job to prepare them for that next level. And there's fantastic athletes there, and for them to have those role models, that's compelling. So when the school district and the school kids say, thank you, BC Lions, but when the RCMP calls me and says, I'm not sure how this relationship formed, we are deeply appreciative of it. It redirects kids towards a positive. Can we be a part of the program? And the RCMP was there this year. They were there, they were interacting with the kids, the players, and they fully intend to be back again this year because it is such a feel-good program that everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's been an important approach throughout the years that we've run Lions Pride. We've had our CMP officers help coach the teams over the years as well, because it is about seeing, a lot of them may be liaisons with the schools, and it's about the kids seeing them in a different light and making that connection easier for them. And I think, Rob, one of the things that we have seen over the years is a much better connection between the kids and the RCMP liaison. And I think even in terms of attendance at the schools, and just being able to interact more effectively with their classmates and be integrated into the school curriculum and extracurricular activities. I think you can safely say, Rob, that has been something that we've seen an increase in with the youth who have participated in this program.
Absolutely. And you know what the best part is? After we have Lions Pride, the kids go home, wash their uniforms, and they're back at school Monday morning with those Lions shirts on again. And so when we go back to kids, they want to be a part of a team. They want to belong. They want to have that branding, that identity. And it doesn't always have to come from something negative. So when they walk around the schools with their Lions Pride shirts on, I know I wear mine all the time. I enjoy wearing it out in the community, and people saying, do you play for, did you play for, like, of course not. But, what's your relationship with the Lions? Well, let me tell you what they come in and do for students in Surrey. And having that conversation is wonderful.
Yeah, and like Rob said, it's all about the kids and their success. And there have been some really good success stories. I remember we had an athlete who was new to football that came out from Abbotsford region who ended up going on to play varsity football because he loved it so much and was such a tremendous athlete. So, stories like that are part of the sort of the Lions Pride legacy, so to speak. So it's been something that we've been very proud to be a part of, and kudos to the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General's office because they've supported this program from the very beginning.
Yeah, Matt, I want to add one more anecdote to what Jamie's saying. We had a young person in our program years ago. His older brother was in jail for some pretty serious charges, and the younger brother was part of Lions Pride. And he was a phenomenal athlete. And having been introduced to football from the Lions Pride program, we actually worked with him and his mom to actually get a passport. He had never left British Columbia before. And we actually sent him to an Oregon Ducks camp just so that the family could get away from the pressures and, you know, the label of your brother's in jail for doing this, this, and this. For him just to go to Oregon and be himself and just play some football and run around and play and have fun and spend that road trip with mom, reconnecting with her and getting back. It's so much more than just hanging out and playing football for that weekend or for that week or for that month. It's actually about reconnecting families and kids to, it's okay. Things may not be wonderful in the moment, but there's some really neat things going on in this world, and we want you to go explore.
Very well said indeed. Jamie, off the top, you touched a little bit on how these school programs and other community programs really have expanded, namely with our Team Up to End Racism program and the Indigenous Youth program, which involved some football drills and a tournament to wrap things up. What was the early response the first year or two of doing these very important programs, Jamie?
Oh, it's been tremendous with Team Up to End Racism. We've got a waiting list probably that's 2 years long. We've got a huge demand. We could have filled our entire book of school visits just with Surrey School District alone. So there's a tremendous appetite for that conversation in the schools. And you know, as we grow and develop the program, you know, who knows what we can do. But I think that it's very important. It was very important for us, obviously, with the Black Lives Matter movement and you know, the residential school system and Asian hate and all those things that had sadly become part of the reality of British Columbia, that you know, we try and do something about it. And really our players and our fans asked us what we were going to do about it, and out of that came the partnership again with the Ministry of Education and some very important sponsors to put together the Team Up to End Racism program. And so far we've almost completed, we've completed 1 year of presentations and promotion and awareness online and at our games. And then we're almost done this year. I think we have 2 presentations left. And like I said, we could have probably done 100 more for the demand for the presentation itself. So we're looking forward to continue to grow that program in the future.
And we're bringing back Indigenous youth, same sort of format as last year, correct?
Yep, that'll happen. Start up again in April. Again, that was a great success, not just for the kids, but for our players as well, to be a part of that and just to teach kids that, well, a great example, Frank Hurt, a school in Surrey, participated in the program last year and will be a part of it again this year. And one of the best comments came from Brian Tate, I think it is, the principal there, who said that some of the kids that participated in the Indigenous Youth Program had never participated in any extracurricular activities at his school. So I think that speaks to what Rob was talking about the power of the messenger, so to speak, in terms of the allure or the role model of the professional athlete and the willingness of the kids to connect with them. And so I think that, you know, that speaks to the power of what we're trying to do with our athletes in the community and in schools.
Yeah, Rob, your overall response to these new programs and how Surrey has benefited from learning a lot more.
You know what, man, it's really easy for a professional sports organization to keep the product on the field, so to speak. But for Jamie and his team to come out and at the grassroots level, meet so many of these students, offer so many different resources and opportunities for us to touch the lives of players and for the players to touch our lives in return, that's been huge. And we're talking, I bet you there's been more than 1,000 kids that have been touched by what the Lions are doing here. One of the things that I want to share is when Jamie and his team, they get tickets to Lions games, very often, without exaggeration, there are students that haven't left Surrey in years because their family doesn't have money for transport and there's just enough gas to get to and from work. So when we take kids out to a Lions game, we turn it into a production, and rightfully so. We're talking 50, 60, 70, 80 kids plus staff showing up to a Lions game, getting to go on transit, SkyTrain, getting to have a meal at BC Place, watching players down low. And again, seeing those players again on Tuesday or on Sports Highlights on Sports Center, whatever the case may be. So when we talk about being a community partner, this is exactly what it looks like. Not just staying in your stadium and being there and allowing us to come watch games because you gave us free tickets, but it's about actually engaging the community. we look at Surrey's incredibly diverse. We have 77,000 students. Many of them are newcomers to Canada. To introduce them to the game of football in this way and to actually show these highly skilled, gigantic individuals that play sports that really have, like Canadian football, CFL, it doesn't have a huge presence in Syria, in the Philippines, or in India. So when students come here and watch this, they're thrilled. They cannot imagine that we're playing a sport at this level and that the players come into our schools and we get to watch them play professionally on TV or in person that weekend.
It's very well said. Yeah, a lot of new Canadians, as mentioned. My mother taught in Surrey for almost 3 decades, and she talked about having first-generation Canadians, ESL students, the parents undoubtedly not familiar with the BC Lions and Canadian football in general. So that's very important indeed to get those kids interested from a young age. Jamie, while we're still here for a few more minutes, be important if we talked a little bit more about a couple of the programs we have not yet touched on in detail. Be More Than a Bystander and Energy Champions, of course.
Yeah, well, Energy Champions, the elementary program we've been running for many years, and it's meant to be fun, but also to teach kids practical things they can actually do to help the environment. So, we do talk about the idea, the concept of sustainability and what that means and how we're all connected to the environment and how our actions not only affect us, but everyone. And so, that's part of that message. And then, of course, how we use energy in our lives, and then little tips that kids can do, whether it be as simple as instead of turning the heat up in your house, putting a sweater on, or instead of taking that short car ride to school, riding your bike, or carpooling, or taking a bus, or whatever that might be. Simple strategies, unplugging your computers, and your electronics and your video games at the end of using them. Just stuff that the kids can really relate to, and that they can actually do to help conserve energy and to help preserve the beautiful British Columbia for future generations. So that's a program we're real proud of, and it's fun. We try and have fun with the kids and make it highly interactive. Of course, we're talking to kindergartens all through grade 7 there. So, Rob can appreciate the attention span and the difference in that age range. Yeah. So that's that one. And then the Be More Than a Bystander, very proud of that program. We've been involved with the Ending Violence Association of BC way back, probably started in schools might have started in 2012. The program probably started in 2011. So we've been doing that for, 2023 now. So, do the math. That's 12 years that we've been involved in that program. And, so we've reached out to probably hundreds of thousands of students across the province with it. And again, we do school presentations, we do promotion and awareness. And really it is about, identifying the issues related to gender-based violence. Started out as men's violence against women, because sadly, as men, we don't have a great track record as it relates to violence. All violence in society, sadly, is much higher as it relates to men. So whether it be men's violence against men, men's violence against children, or men's violence against women, sadly, the vast majority of violence is committed by men. So, but now it's transformed into gender-based violence, because of course, all genders experience violence, and we do define that. We talk about statistics, we talk about definitions as it relates to violence, and most importantly, we talk about strategies that the high school students can use to be more than a bystander if they see something or hear something that's happening in their world, and that they can make a difference.
Rob, did you have any final thoughts on any of the programs in general, and what you're looking forward to here in the future?
Well, we're definitely looking forward to our continued partnership. There's a lot of things that we can't do in Surrey schools without the help of the Lions and Jamie and his team. I think one of the things I would really like to have a chance to articulate is to the players that come out, to Jamie and his team. When you come out, it may be just a weekend, or it may just be a few hours for the players, but the impact that it has on our community, it goes on for years and years. I've been part of the Surrey School District for almost 2 decades now, And kids will see me in the community and say, hey, do you remember in 2012 when we did that Lions thing? Those things are etched in kids' minds because often in high school is tough. Schools are tough, right? It's you're going through adolescence and independence, and there's a lot of things going on, but you really hang on to the positives. It wasn't lost on, when we had a strong South Asian contingent come out to Lions Pride, when they saw Suk Chung out there. And they said, South Asians, Punjabis play football. I'm like, yeah, go say hi to him. He's a phenomenal player. We can do that too. So having representation when we talk about racism and opportunities for other communities, for the South Asian boys to see Suk Chung, I don't know whether he knows it or not, but he's a role model. There is a massive contingent of kids in Surrey that look up to him and say, if he can do it, then we can do it. And so an opportunity to articulate to these young athletes, like, it may only be a weekend for you, but the impact it has on kids' lives, it lasts forever.
Well said. And that's all demographics, all ages. There is a chance to make a difference. So we encourage those watching, listening, head to bclions.com/community calendar. All these programs we've just talked about, there's a more thorough write-up on each. There's a bit of a schedule there. And Jamie, this is awesome. I mean, Play with the Pros is soon going to be in Prince George. We just did an event, some of those on Vancouver Island. Last year, I think we did Kelowna. So we've got the map covered. And
we are.
In closing, I guess, Jamie, anything more you want to add there?
Well, I think it does speak to the fact that, and we're very proud of that we're BC's team. With our school programs, we're going to do 7. Well, we've already completed, I think, 4 of the road trips, but we'll do 7 road trips to different communities all the way up to Prince Rupert. We've been to the East Kootenays, we've been to the island, and that's a big part of it. And so that we're not just confined to the Lower Mainland in what we do. We're going to do around 130 presentations with our guys between January and the first week of May. So we're very proud of the work that we do. And we're also very thankful to the schools for allowing us to come in and talk to their kids, and to our sponsors who support all these programs, because without them, we simply can't do it. And I also just want to acknowledge the tremendous work that Rob Ray has done throughout his years, because he's very modest, but he's a pioneer in terms of how he and his team took a more holistic approach to looking after our kids. And I think that the work that he's done has had a tremendous impact on youth in Surrey.
Well done. Yes. And that's bclions.com/school programs. Community calendar also gives the rundown. Jamie, Rob, it was great to talk to you again. And we look forward to perhaps seeing you out there soon. We'll be sure to give you a heads up, Rob, on when we plan to come out. I know our content team has filmed a couple of school visits already this year, so look out for that content. And
Matt, I neglected to mention that we even have another program called Tell Us Why's and Willingdon All-Stars, but that's maybe a conversation for another day. So
that's the next episode, maybe. Yes.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, very important. Once again, Move the Chains, as always, a presentation of Doman Building Materials and RBC. Gentlemen, thank you for the time, and I know our fans and listeners appreciate it as well.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jamie.
What up, RP? Let's turn it up one time. You did. We move the chains. You hear what I'm saying? Real players can relate, cause they the ones that was playing. Be great. Just wait. We be really in the field. Now we really on the mic, speaking truly how we feel. For real, screaming hut 1, hut 2. Tell me what you gon' do. Coming off that edge, only way to stop is hold you. Never let the gatekeepers control you. Once you lose your voice, now they definitely know they own you. But not I. Rob Phillips coming so fly. Pick 6 on the way. When that ball's in the sky, they say time is money, and I wonder why. Now I know that's a goddamn lie. Let's go. Come and get game from the chains. Everybody love it when you move the chains. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains, move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains. Do my thing. Getting this dough, you know how it go. Grab a seat and tune in, then tell me what you know. Back when TIP said, get it on the flow. RP was on BC, putting on a show. For show, screaming touchdown, touchdown. Everything you want now. Fans be the chain gang, game every month now. Don't even try to front now. These new dudes be something like my son now. I'm better than ever. The game that we speak gotta be clever. Ball hard no matter the weather. I cheese for the picks while I'm counting this cheddar. On my mama, boy, I never will let her. But so you know I gotta get up and run just to come and get game from the move the chains. Everybody love it when you move the chains. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains, move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains. Do my thing. Come and get game from the move the chains. Everybody love it when you move the chains. Haters hate to see me really do my thing. Move the chains. Move the chains. Let's go. Move the chains. The #1 podcast. Move the chains. Do my thing.